Sabaha everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Pro 1 from fxtec. I've been waiting for this device ever since I first heard about it at CES 2019, and at that time they were basically just talking about the idea of this phone, and then of course we got a chance to play with it a little bit in May while I was in the UK. But now we have finally retail packaging. It's starting to ship out to people, and I want to share with you guys my initial impressions of this brand new and kind of retro device, because it's offering us something that we haven't seen since the old Nokia devices that offer the sliding keyboards. Since this actually has, as you can see from the picture, a full QWERTY keyboard that goes the length of this device. This is TK, let's check it out. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. The idea of this device has been in my mind ever since I heard about it at CES 2019. And what I mean by that is that initially at the beginning of the year, we heard, or I heard at least, of a device called the Pro 1 from fxtec that was basically talking about the whole benefit of having a full keyboard on a device like this. And this is something that we haven't seen since, I would say, the old Nokia days with the N97 or the E7. And what essentially the experience that you're getting here is a tailored experience around that. The device is pretty much a very unique device in 2019, and what I mean by unique, it's not just because it has a keyboard, but it also has some unique characteristics. First and foremost, this device out of the box, basically from fxtec, is intended to be unlocked, and I'm talking about the bootloader. I'm also talking about the fact that they want you to try, let's say, Sailfish OS or Lineage OS if you're not happy with basically just stock Android 9.0. And the experience here is pretty much very stock. The launcher itself is very basic, and it's basically almost, I would say, like almost like a Pixel experience, but slightly modified. And what I mean by basic, I don't mean like bad. I just mean basically it's clean. There's no additional bloatware or anything like that. You are able to customize almost every single key on the keyboard to do basically a long press to launch an application. The device itself is running the Snapdragon 835. It does have 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage. It also has expandability as far as memory here with the SD card support, or you can go with 2 SIM cards. We do have a dedicated camera button as well as a fingerprint sensor on the side, power button and a volume rocker, true stereo speakers, a headphone jack, and of course the Snapdragon 835 conversation. It really is not a big issue overall in 2019 or even 2020. The only limitation that I can see right now that the 835 does not have is the fact that this device can only shoot 4K at 30 frames per second as opposed to 4K at 60 frames per second. So that's going to be a limitation of the SoC. Currently, that's the maximum you can get with the 12 megapixel sensor in the back and the secondary 5 megapixel secondary sensor there. The front-facing sensor will give us basically a 1080p resolution. Let's go ahead and do a quick demo of the front and the back directly from the fxtec Pro 1. Okay, so this should be a quick example of what the front-facing camera on the brand new fxtec is capable of providing us at 1080p. Again, it's an 8 megapixel front-facing camera, but this should be a good example of audio and video from the front-facing camera. Let's go ahead and switch over to the back-facing camera to see how it performs in 4K. Went ahead and switched over to the back-facing sensor here. We are at 4K at 30 frames per second, again, handheld, and this should be a good example of how the actual quality of the audio and video are out of the back-facing sensors on the brand new fxtec Pro 1. So as you saw right there, it's actually not that bad as far as the footage from the front or the back-facing sensor, but again, I'll need a little bit more time to test it out. But whenever it actually does come to the actual stereo speakers, let's go ahead and play a little bit of sample. They definitely sound very good, and again, true stereo speakers with the top and the bottom speaker setup that we have here. Overall, the configuration that we have here is definitely feeding off of the nostalgia, but not just the nostalgia of being able to actually use a full-size keyboard. And what I mean by this is, as opposed to the installation or the existing setup that we have here from the Key 2 or even the Key 1, where we actually lose real estate from the display to get an actual keyboard on here, we're actually getting the full keyboard here on the full display. Also, what we're getting essentially is a slightly thicker device, so you can definitely see it right there. The Key 2 is thinner, and here we have a little bit of a thickness, and that's definitely attributed to the fact that we have a moving mechanism, right? We're definitely getting there. And just as a heads up, I'm actually getting a lot better. Let's see, opening it up one hand and closing it. The mechanism is very solid, and I'm just gonna have to spend a little bit more time than just the day or so that I had. I got this really late last week, and of course I'm about to get on the plane for the Tech Summit in Maui. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the Pro 1 from fxtec? What would you like me to focus on? My hope is that by the time I do another video for you guys, I'm actually already running Lineage OS on here, because that's really cool. The ability of unlocking the bootloader and using other operating systems that are basically I would say almost provisioned by the company itself. They're on their support page. They have custom recoveries, all of the things that you need to be able to install either Lineage OS or even Sailfish OS on this. And they're currently in test build, so nothing final, but still really cool for when people are starting to receive their devices. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.